Hi friends, it's Terri Gaines, independent demonstrator with Stampin Up. In this video tutorial, I'm going to share a card I created with the all zipped up dies. These dies are bundled with a stamp set, so you can get 10% savings if you purchase both of them as the bundle, or you can purchase the stamp set on its own or the dies on their own. These stamped images will be cut out with the dies, and then you have all these additional dies. For this card, I'm only using the dies. And one of my samples, I have used the sentiments for the inside of the card. Now, when I'm done showing you the card in my video tutorial, I have the very same card that's created with the same design layout, but it's got different color cardstock, different designer series paper, and it really changes the look. So you can create this card with any color combination and designer series paper. So let's start out by the measurements. Also, I want to let you know I have a free PDF you can download or project sheet, and it has all of this measurements that I share in this tutorial, along with a photo of this card and a link to the video so you can rewatch the video. So I'm going to start out with the card base. The card base is 8.5 by 5.5. It's scored and folded in half, or scored at 4 1/4. So I've got that prepped ahead of time. Now, I'm using Petunia Pop for the color because I'm using a designer series paper that coordinates with that color. So I picked my designer series paper first, which I'm going to use this print. It's part of the Unbounded Beauty 12 by 12 designer series paper. You get 2 each of these 6 double-sided designs. They are absolutely beautiful, and they are in the current Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. So I'm going to be using this color. So what I have is, as I mentioned, the card base that coordinates with it. So I have pre-cut my cardstock, or my designer series paper as well. I have it measured at 2 inches by 5.5, and I need 2 of those. And these are going to be for like a sweatshirt. So I'm going to show you how these 2 would be cut. Now these 2 are going to be cut, and we want to create the angle up on the top, and that's what these 2 dies are for. Now in my little sampler here, I have all the dies cut out, and you can see it in white right here. Now when you cut these out, they cut out like the seam binding for your zipper. And these are actually identical. They are the same angle for both of them, and they're really a mirrored image of each other. So what I did was I took this and I grabbed my die cutting platform. So I have it all set up for the dies. So I have my platform 1, platform 2, a clear plate number 3. So I'm going to put this on my designer series, or my designer series paper on the platform. And I'm going to show you how you would do both of them, but I only do one at a time. So I would do this one, get that done, and then I would do this one. But I'm going to actually show you both of them. So I put them on my plate, and then I would take this die and push it up to the paper, not overlapping, just push it up to the paper and move it down so it is about a 1/16 of an inch spacing right there. So push it up against that and about a 1/16 inch there. Then I take these clear or transparent sticky notes or Post-it notes that I got at the Dollar Tree. And how I like to work with these is I actually take a few sheets, cut in them, so then I can just pull off a portion. This portion right here is sticky. So I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to push that up against there, move that down, and just put my sticky note on here. And in this case, maybe I would put a couple, put my clear plate on top, run that through, and that's going to cut that angle. So when you get done with that, it's going to cut the angle for the shirt. And then you would repeat it. And as I mentioned, these are identical. So I could take the same one, just rotate it, take this side, push that up against the edge, move that down about the same distance. I'm looking on about 1/16 of an inch there. It can be any measurement there or any approximate measurement, and just repeat it identical on both sides. Put the clear plate on, run that through, and then you're going to get that cut. So that's how I prepped these 2 pieces. Now, That's how that piece is cut. So I'm going to set that aside. Now we're going to look at the shirt. So this is going to be kind of like a sweatshirt. And underneath here, I want what I'm calling the shirt cardstock. I have that cut in basic white cardstock. That is 2 inches by 3.5. Now I want a neckline on here. You can use a circle punch to do that. I'm actually going to use the, I'm going to keep that in here. I'm going to use the Spotlight in Nature dies. So if you take these dies, and I'm also going to use these dies to create a little decorative collar. So I am going to use this die, and what I'm going to do is take and put this on my platform and place this so it's going to cut out that top part of these shirts and create like a collar. So I put a couple of these on here, and just FYI, these, you can keep reusing these until the stickiness is gone. Put that on there, run that through, and that's going to cut a neckline in this shirt piece. And then to add some texture to that, I would run it through an embossing folder, and I'm using the distressed tile. So when you cut the neckline and run it through the embossing folder, the embossing folders are pretty neat. You just put your paper in here, close it, run that through your die cutting machine with the right platform setup, and you've got a texture. Now this is distressed, so some of that is empty like that. And so that is the shirt that's going to go underneath the sweatshirt. Now I did mention I want to put a collar on there. So to create that, I took Pretty in Pink cardstock that coordinates with this color. And let's see, I can show you what this is here. So if you can envision that this is all connected together, what I did was I took this same die that I cut this out, and the next die that goes right a little bit larger than it is, I put that down on my Pretty in Pink cardstock, ran that through my die cutting machine, and it will cut out the circle and these rings. And I only need 1/4 of these rings. I also put adhesive sheet behind that. What adhesive sheet is a product you can purchase. It is 6 by 12 in size. There's 12 in a package. They're adhesive sheets. What you do is you take your adhesive sheet, you cut it to whatever size you want to work with. You take your cardstock, and that's the same size. When you take this adhesive sheet out, I'm just going to take a little sample. Oops. And pretend that this is cut the same size as this. I have shown this in several other videos, but what you do is you peel the backing off. Let's see if I make sure I get the right side for the backing. You peel the backing off, and so envision that I'm peeling the backing off. It doesn't always go as planned on a video. You peel the backing off. There's stickiness there. You put it on the back side of your paper, and then if it's on the back side of your paper, on the front side is where you cut through, and then when you cut through that, you have an adhesive backing on here. So that's what I have here. I have an adhesive sheet backing on here. So this is the collar. So what I'm going to do with this, and did I have my, yeah, I do have my Take Your Pick tool over here. So what I do is I don't worry about punching out all those inside pieces. I think sometimes majority of them will come right with the paper backing. And let's see if I'm correct on that. Here, some of them are coming with the paper backing, not all of them, but now that's all sticky there. And let's see, I didn't get all of them out. So let me go ahead and poke all of those out. Now this is, like I said, a decorative collar, and sometimes things go a little bit smoother, but I can guarantee once you hit that record on a video, things don't go as smooth, but you know what, that's okay. Then you can see how all of this works. So you do want to, I'm going to just move those over in my little trash bin. There you go. So what I'm going to do here is just add this little decorative collar onto this white shirt that's going to go underneath, just like that. So that's going to be underneath like this, okay? So before I assemble anything, I'm just going to show you how I prep all the pieces. Now, this is a 4th, so you can get 4 decorative collars out of one of these, and then you can utilize this piece for another project. All right. So let's see, I talked about the shirt, the inside sentiment. I do have a measurement for that. I have that at 2 3/4 by 4. That means you can get 8 of these out of your 8.5 by 11. That's for the inside of your card, for inside sentiment. Now we're going to talk about coordinating cardstock, okay? So coordinating cardstock, I have 2 pockets. There are a die for each pocket. I cut those out of the Petunia Pop, and then I also texturize those with the same embossing folder that I did for the white shirt that goes underneath. So those are going to be the pockets. Then I have zipper trim. That's these dies that I already talked to you about. I put adhesive sheet behind my Petunia Pop and I cut them out. Now I left them here. Let me show you what I did. Hopefully all of these prep tips are helpful for people. I actually put them fairly close to each other. Let's pretend that there is adhesive sheet on the other side of this. I put those down. I place them fairly close to each other, but not touching. I don't want them to touch each other to damage the dies. You want to, but these Post-it notes will help you keep those in place, and then put your clear plate on, run that through, and then what happens is it doesn't cut the very end. Can you see they're still attached there, but it cuts all along the side. So then what I would do, you need 2 of them, one for the right, one for the left. I would take this and just cut right where it ended. So you can separate these strips. So you're going to cut right where the die ended, stopped cutting, and then you're going to have your trim for each side. Okay, that's how those were prepared. Let's see, what else do we need with adhesive sheets. Then I have the badge heart. I'm talking about a little badge that's going to go on the shirt. And let's see, I thought I had that out here, and goodness, did I lose that in all of this moving things around? And maybe I'll find it, but it should be a little heart that was cut out of this paper here. So I bet we'll find it before I am done. If not, we'll pretend I put it on. So this has foam sheet. So what I did with this, it works very much like the adhesive sheets, but it is an adhesive foam sheet. Now with this one, you get 6 in the package, and they're about 4.5 by 4 1/4 in size. And when you take these out, what you can do is you can cut them down to size. Now your rotary cutter doesn't work. I used a guillotine type cutter, or you can use a scissors and cut these. But what you're going to do is cut your cardstock the same size, or cut both your cardstock in this the same size, like what I did here. I just cut a strip, like I cut that, a 2-inch strip. And then what you do, you cut your cardstock the same size. Both sides are identical. You peel off one side, put it on the back side of your cardstock. You take your die and you go on that side, cut it through, and it creates a foam adhesive image. It will squeeze and go through your die cutting machine, but then cut that out really nicely. So let's hope I find that little heart in all of this before we finish the assembly of this card. So I did that with foam, the adhesive foam. I also use this on the zipper pull. I have that in gold foil, and I have that. And as you can see, when you cut a whole sheet, you can squeeze a lot of little images out. I use this for a swap, and this gives some depth to your image. So I did the same thing with the silver foil. Did I call it gold a minute ago? I meant silver foil. Okay, so let's see. We talked about the coordinating cardstock 1, all the pieces that were cut and the missing heart. And then the coordinating cardstock color, I already talked about the collar. That's got adhesive sheet behind it. Now we're talking more about the silver foil pieces. So I put adhesive sheet behind the silver foil, and I die cut this die right here. So when you cut this die, let me show you what happens. When you put this die and you cut it, what happens is you get this image. So it's separated here, but it's still connected there. So what you'd want to do is take here and cut that to separate all of that. Let's see, a little bit right here. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. You can just follow the line, the imprint the die made. So that separates that. And down here, what I would do is just cut right where that imprint is that the die made. And I do want to let you know that these two pieces could separate then. So that's going to, if you could actually separate these and you could have this two pieces. I'm going to try to keep it one piece. So these now are identical to what I have. So I'm just going to use the one I just trimmed. I'll move that out of the way here. Let's kind of get these images. So I have my pole. Okay, then I have a straight zipper. This die will do the same thing. It will cut the zipper, and I actually took that. So I actually have cut this in half. So this would create one whole zipper, and I just cut it in half because we don't need the full zipper. So let's see, I'm going to put that all aside. And the only thing we have, as I mentioned, is that little heart that should be somewhere here, but let's just continue with the project and hope that it appears before I get the card assembled. So now we have the zipper. So let me show you how I would put this together. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So we want to attach this image first. So what I'm going to do is take my double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to put adhesive on the back of this image that I have created. Now there's a couple things we want to do. We want this approximately in the center, and if you feel more comfortable about measuring it, you can. I'm actually going to eyeball it. I'm going to look for equal spacing here and equal spacing on the side and move this up so I have my collar is just overhanging a little bit here. So I think that looks pretty good. Equal spacing on both sides. I'm going to put that up like that. And then I'm going to take my paper trimmer or my paper snips and just trim this. Now, when you go to trim this with the paper snips, I like to open it up and take this edge of the blade and just follow the edge of the cardstock and make that cut. Now that doesn't look very clean there, but that's okay. We're going to be covering that up with the rest of the pieces. This is for the inside. I'm going to go ahead and attach that just so I don't lose it. And you can write your message on here, but if you wanted to, you could stamp your sentiment on it before you attach it. But I'm going to go ahead and attach mine. Now the next step I want to do is attach these two pieces. So what I'm going to do is bring in my Simply Scoring tool. So I'm going to bring this in to help me with alignment. So I'm going to take and put adhesive on the back of this and just put my Stampin' Seal on the back of that. I'm going to place this in the corner and push this up against the corner. I'm going to take this, and this edge is going to go against that edge, the bottom against that. I can push this into the corner and hold this up so it does not attach or does not adhere. The adhesive is staying off until I push it in the wall up here, the wall over here. Then I can place that down, and that's going to help me get that alignment here and here. Now I'm going to rotate it like this, put my adhesive on the back side of this, And I'm actually going to rotate it so I again have the bottom and the side. Push that into the corner, push this up against the wall, and then up against that wall, and then put the adhesive down. That's how I like to get that all attached. If you have an easier way that works better for you, go ahead and do that. But now I have that all nice and flush in the corners, and that works out good for me. Now the next thing we're going to put down is the zipper. Now this zipper has got the right angle for how we cut the pieces. Now what you can do is you can put this, and I'm actually, depending on how this piece is cut, I'm going to move it up a little bit and then trim it with the scissors. Now I put adhesive sheet behind this, so when you go to take this off, you do need to be careful because these two zippers can separate. I want to work with them together. Let's see if I can get this to separate here. Get that adhesive backing. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get off, and I find the take your pick tool helps to get that going. I want to get both of these to come off at the same time, and as I mentioned, those two will separate. I'm going to try to keep them together. One other thing I want to mention to you is I'm going to take and snip this right so it's right on one of those lines. Let me see if I can get that a little bit better. Oh, I didn't get that very straight. Let's see if I'll try one. There we go. So it's right on one of those zigs on that zipper. Now I'm going to hold this up. I'm going to look for my spacing here to hang over just a little bit. I'm watching how that all fits, and I'm going to place that down and keep those zippers from separating, and then burnish them in place. So you want to keep that zipper from separating. With adhesive sheet or any adhesive, you do really want to burnish it so it gets a good bond. And as I mentioned, I put that over a little bit, and that was all intentional. I can come in here and snip that off to get that nice and flush right there. So that's the top part of the zipper. Now for the bottom part of the zipper, I'm going to put this here. Now I actually have this cut pretty good. When you go to attach your zipper, you want to see that your zipper does the zigzag, right? So it's here and then it goes around. For example, look at, if I use this side, you can see how it goes this way and that way. You want it to go. So you can always trim this, but this side is going to work perfect. So I'm trying to make sure that it just has that consistent flow. When we put the zipper pull on here, it's going to camouflage that intersection for us. Now, when I separate this, I also want to keep them together because as soon as you take this adhesive sheet off the back, you've got two separate sides. You got the right side and the left side. I want to keep them together as much as possible. So I'm going to try to get both backings off. Just got one on that side. And if they do come apart, that is totally okay too. I just find it easier working with them, holding them together. So I'm going to only take my backing off so far, keep those together, and then meet it up to this zipper and continue down. And because it's longer than it needs to be, I'm going to just keep that adhesive on the back, open up the card, and trim this excess off. And there we have that part down. Now this doesn't look very well, but that's okay. We're going to cover all of that up. That's what these pieces are for. That's the little trim that's going to camouflage all of that. So that's what we're going to put on next. There's one for this side. You can see it's going to cover up that zipper and just show the teeth part of the zipper. So that's what we're going to put on next. So I'm going to start with one side at a time, get the backing off. As I showed you earlier, or told you, I put adhesive sheet on all of these. I just find it so much easier to work with. If you are a liquid glue fan, you can use liquid glue when you recreate this card. I just love the adhesive sheet, so I use those a lot. And then burnish that, and then repeat it for this side. So I'm going to separate this and then repeat it, and it's overhanging a little bit. Remember when I cut out this designer series paper, this piece should overhang about the same as where that die was placed when I cut that. So I just really want the zipper teeth to show there, and I have a little bit more on this side. I haven't burnished that in place yet, so I can move that. Let's say that's good. Now burnish that in place, get that all to bond, open this up, and then snip off these extra. I think it's good to snip off as you go instead of trying to cut through all of the layers that we've built up so far. So trim as you go, and there, that's what we have so far. Now we have the pockets. Now these do not have adhesive sheet. Oops. And what I like to do is put dimensionals on the back. I like to pop up the pockets so they look, have dimension to them. So on the back side of the pocket, I'm going to put some dimensionals. I think I will put 4 on each one. So that was the left. Well, depends on what way you look at the shirt, right? I will just say that was one side and this is the other side, and put dimensionals on the back. So they're going to be popped up like that. So take the backings off. The Take Your Pick tool works great for getting the backings off. And there's different attachments you can get. This is to help get those little pieces out of the dies. Remember, I was poking them out with the piercer part here. I could have used the brush part too. So let's see. I'm looking for equal spacing on the bottom, on the right and left side. That's how I place my pocket. And here I'm going to take this, backing off on these 4, and place this one. I'm going to look for equal spacing and put the pockets down here. Now I called this the badge circle, and I'm still missing that heart. But let's see. I think we'll just have to pretend when I finish that. So it is somewhere. I'll find it when I turn the video record off. Now this is the zipper pull, and now I told you that it will camouflage. It's really hard to see that intersection. It's right there. But if you have a little oops there, this zipper pull is so good at camouflaging all of that. So I'm just going to put that zipper pull, and I like having that added dimension. And that missing heart would have added dimension there as well. And I'm just going to take another quick peek to see if I can see where it landed, and I don't see it. But I will show you another card that has something similar to it. So envision that there's a little petunia pop heart there, and that's going to finish off the card. Now I use the same concept for this card, except I just put the white, I use the timber for the folder. I use black for the card base, and then for the collar I use the 2-inch circle punch and 2 3/8-inch circle punch. I use the timber folder for the pockets. Now this this designer series paper is part of the botanical texture paper. It's all black and white with some gray tones in it, 2-sided, 12 by 12 in size, and I used this side. I took the old olive and a little bit of mossy meadow ink, and I just put it on this to kind of create a camel type shirt. And I added a little black embellishment there, and I have the silver foam adhesive sheet right here. So when I take a picture of this for my project sheet and for the blog post, I will have the heart on there. But that's just duplicating the same card but changing up the colors to give it a whole different look. I hope you enjoyed this card, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Take care and happy creating.